This is UNSC Pelican Echo 216. Can you hear me? This is UNSC...
Hello everyone and welcome back. My name's XFerdinandX and we got another video for you today. Today is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be the start of a new series. I'm not going to do too often, but it's just for this week I decided to do this because I'm just getting overloaded with messages about the popular custom game list that I did. That's everyone's messaging me to add their games to it as well, and so it's become this big thing with that whole importing old legacy games to the MCC. So I thought this would be a little fun thing to do on the side because I can't do a whole controversies video this week because I'm just so busy with all that other stuff and other real world stuff. Halo Theory is where we kind of, go into the mysteries of something that may have happened in the Halo games, maybe story, but most of the games, where there's no real answer. It just remains a mystery, never really resolved, and no real explanation for it. And, kind of talk about the possible theories here, what may also be possible theories, but also why they don't really work as well, like why they're not very conclusive. And maybe by doing this, and maybe if it gets popular, maybe 343 themselves might answer this, or might get solved by some other people like either Hidden Xperia, Halo Cannon, or General Kid. But it'd be great to find out because these are always interesting theories. I have a few of them, but not a whole bunch. But I think these are pretty cool. And I thought the first one to start off with is one that has always intrigued me. I wanting to know and never actually got an answer to, and that is what happened to Mackenzie and Perez. Now, if you played Halo 2, remember this area where you're trying to get to the library inside the quarantine zone where you have to retrieve the icon and trying to beat the humans to it. And during that situation, there's this cutscene that occurs that you recall where Sergeant Johnson tries to call out to Mackenzie and Perez, but they don't respond.
Mackenzie, Perez, how's our exit? You hear me, Marines? We got trouble.
Mackenzie, Corporal Perez, Sergeant Major Johnson, and Commander Miranda Keyes traveled to the library to retrieve the activation index and got there before the Arbiter. When Johnson and Keyes made it to the index, Johnson calls to Mackenzie and Perez, to which they do not respond, and that's basically the end of it. We don't know whatever happened to them. There's multiple theories of what possibly could have happened. Some of the theories out there are that they were killed or infected by the flood, and suggesting that some of the bodies are Mackenzie and Perez, but no real verification of that. And the thing is that on two of the websites that talk about the possible theories of what happens to them, Halopedia and Halo Fandom, who also say that there's no conclusive evidence of what happens to them, they try to say that the two bodies right in front of the entrance right before Arbiter enters the area. But the thing is, I looked around there and there's actually a bunch of bodies of UNSC Marines, so it's not just two. I don't know where they got that number from, but the thing is there's a bunch of them right near the entrance areas, and there's not like too specific. So that's why it seems like the most plausible, but also doesn't really make sense either, because the thing is, if they had died by the flood, they were killed by the flood or infected by the flood, why didn't they run into that room to attack Johnson and Miranda? You do, in fact, if you don't even do anything and you just casually walk up, you notice that a bunch of flood infection forms run into that entranceway, which means that they would have had to run into Johnson and Miranda, which means there would have been someone there to stop them. So the other suggestion here is that they were killed by the Arbiter, or possibly even killed by the Brutes maybe. The Arbiter would seem more likely because of the fact that he had stealth capabilities, but the Brutes, they have no stealth, so if they engaged Corporal Perez and Mackenzie, that would have meant that you would have probably heard gunfire, and that obviously Sergeant Johnson would have been alerted by that. So that didn't happen, and we didn't even hear that in the cutscene, so obviously they weren't obviously if we would have heard something like that, so I don't think it would have been the Brutes that have killed them. And also the thing is why would the Arbiter know who to kill and not to kill? Remember, he subdued both Miranda and Johnson, but why didn't he just do the same thing with the Marines as well? Why would he just kill them? And you say, oh well, because they were more important, but again, in their situation, why would he have done that? It's not like he knew which ones were important and which ones weren't. He just knew to take them out. So that's also a possibility that he could have just knocked them out, and that later on the brutes just took them and took those Marines as that were knocked out, and captured them and took them with them as well, with Miranda Keyes and Johnson. And the also possibility theory here is when they were captured, if they were, is that they were later freed on High Charity with John 117, which is also another possibility, because you do free a bunch of Marines that are trapped on there. But again, there's no suggestion that they were freed because we don't have any proof to prove whether or not they were in the cells or if they were other Marines. While also looking into this, I also saw a lot of forum posts about this from back in the day, of people also asking, because they were also curious about this, that never got answers to it. And they did suggest another theory that I actually thought was also true for a very long time, but it looks like that was dismissed. But was the theory that the two Marines on the Great Journey mission next to Sergeant Johnson, when he makes the escape for the Scarab when you go to attack the brutes that are about to kill him, that those two are the same Marines, Mackenzie and Perez. And that did seem like it made a lot of sense. I mean, think about it. You had two regular Marines, Sergeant Johnson and Miranda Keyes, on the Quarantine Zone mission trying to retrieve the index, and then on the control room you have two regular Marines, Sergeant Johnson and Miranda Keyes. But it turns out that was not the case, that they didn't just take them to High Charity after they captured them and then take them back to the control room area to activate the index, and that they had those extra Johnson, those two Marines, as backup in case they couldn't get Miranda Keyes to activate the index. So in the end, I ended up looking into this and finding out that there was a transcript, and the transcript shows that there was actually the two Marines that are actually the ones next to Johnson are actually Gunnery Sergeant Marcus Stacker and Staff Sergeant Marcus Banks. But I mean, that's just the transcript. We don't know in the game files if that's actually true, because a part of me feels like I've actually seen one of those Marines, but I didn't have time to go back to play. But it seems like they were actually one of them sound like Perez, but I'm not sure if they're just randomly generated Marines or how it is. But it'd be cool if maybe that General Kidd or someone can actually look into this and see if they can look in the game files and see if they ever show up again. But until then, we don't actually know what happens to them. And what's also interesting is Mackenzie, there's no photos of him that I can find online, so I don't know if if he's even in the game files or if he's just mentioned, whereas actually Corporal Perez actually does have an actual model for him that shows up. But until then, we actually don't know what actually happens to these two individuals. It's still a mystery. So I thought it was just fun to cover this subject, because it's something that we never actually will know, because there's a bunch of theories out there, but also things that counter that theory that it might not be true because of these reasons. So I think it'd just be cool if maybe one day 343 ever answers this question, or maybe Hidden Experience or Halo Cannon or General Kidd or any of those people that like to go into the files or the lore and actually maybe find out what happened to them. But until then, we actually don't know what happened to them. So the two possible theories I think that are most likely going to be the outcome here is that either A, they were in fact killed by the Arbiter, or that B, that the Arbiter knocked them out, the brutes took them as well as prisoners and put them on High Charity, and that's where they were, and probably got freed by Master Chief. Those are my two theories, at least on this. But that's just a theory, a Halo theory.
Oh my god! Stop!
Just messing with you guys. But, comment down below what you think ended up happening to those two Marines, if they ended up dying or getting captured or getting freed, or what ended up happening to them. And also comment down if you want me to cover any other kind of theories, things that just haven't been, no one knows what happened and whatnot. Usually I'll try to stick with any theories game related, because I just don't read all those books, I just don't have time. But if you have any interesting ones about talking about the games, like something that was never answered in the games that just remains a complete mystery and no one's ever been able to resolve it, I have maybe 5 or 6 of these I'm ever planning to cover, and If you guys want me to cover any more of them that I don't have already planned, then yeah, just shoot them down below, and you know, I'll try and actually cover them. But yeah, just comment that, and also what you think happens to those Marines. Give this video a like, subscribe if you want to see more of these, and hit those notifications. I will also, you know, continue doing Halo controversy videos, but I'm gonna have to put it on ice for a bit because you guys gave me so much responses for putting so many game types and maps on that popular classic custom games list that I made. People that made smaller lists all are telling me, hey, put all these lists on here and whatnot. I've been updating that for like I don't know how many days now, and it's just taking way too long to update everything. So I want to still get out a video for you guys, but there's just no way I was going to be able to do a whole controversies video. I'm just going to put that on ice until after the migration stuff is over with, and then, you know, start doing some of those maybe more lengthy videos and finally finish up the controversies video series and just be done with it, hopefully, because I'm kind of getting burnt out too of the controversies. I want to go back to doing Halo custom games and doing the custom archive and other topics, like talking about, you know, the user interface and you know, how they can improve custom games and stuff like that with Halo off topics, Halo ideas, and all that other fun stuff. But, you know, anyways, I'm gonna wrap things up here, you guys. You all have a great day and take care. Peace.
Yeah.